Quality of life is getting a little better. Smarter Heart University and Dr. Scott on AM 970, The Apple.
Welcome back to your Smarter Heart University. I was informed that we may have gotten cut off there. We went right to commercial. So we'll repeat the pop quiz. Which overall improves your total mortality, multivitamins, vitamin C, or vitamin E? In a recent 2009 study of 78,000 people, multivitamins were not related to total mortality. Small decreases were actually seen in vitamin C and vitamin E use. In addition, though, overall, when you broke it apart, vitamin C did not lower heart disease mortality. Multivitamins or vitamin E did not worsen cancer mortality risk. Didn't make it any better, but did make it worse because there was that's often been touted. Vitamin E, especially, causing major problems. Yeah. Well, let's talk about those wonderful antioxidants. Free radicals are present in human cells. Molecules. These are molecules that are created by reactions that occur so that we can produce energy. They search the body for healthy cells. These free radicals. And they take their vital electrons. You need protons and electrons, negatives and positives bouncing around to make a cell. They kill these cells as a result of stealing these electrons. And in the process, this process is called oxidation. That's it, folks. If you ever know that word. Now,
high school physics.
Now you're all Mr. Wizards, Mr. and Mrs. Wizards. Oxidative stress, therefore, in your body leads to disease and aging. That's it. I don't even have to do next week's topic. Oxidation in your arteries, folks, is like rusty pipes. One of the main ways we get plaque, and otherwise known as atherosclerosis, is these rusty pipes, is oxidative stress. Preventing oxidative damage in your cells is vitally important because that's how we get heart disease. So it's in theory, by using vitamin C and vitamin E, which are antioxidants, it's always been speculated they provide these electrons to the free radicals. Therefore, they don't have to invade your cells. If you take these antioxidants, they provide the free radicals. Free radicals are happy. We don't get rusty pipes. End of story. Well, multivitamins and vitamin C and vitamin E supplements are offered by every Tom, Dick, and Harry manufacturer in the United States. And just like I say this to patients all the time about fish oil and all the things that are nutraceuticals and supplements around. Whether or not using these supplements improves your mortality is a major controversial issue with a plethora of human studies and ongoing and continued, just like this one that was just released. People who eat a lot of fruits and vegetables seem to have a lower risk of cardiovascular disease, and researchers therefore believe it's this antioxidant effect of these foods that's partially responsible for the antioxidation effect. Scientists, therefore, have debated whether or not vitamin C and vitamin E in the supplements prevents vascular illness or keep it from getting any worse in those who already have it. So let's look at some of the evidence if we can. In 2004, about 136,000 participants in 19 trials. This is another meta-analysis we talked about, taking an average of 400 units, international units of vitamin E a day, showed that doses greater than this increased the risk of dying from any cause. This was an obvious public health importance and a radical departure to what we always thought. It was like everything changed that day when they released the study. I know exactly where I was, and the phone calls flooded our offices, and, don't take it. How much, et cetera. So if you took less than this, by the way, none of it. I mean, if you took less than 400 units, there was no reason to be alarmed that it was anything greater than 400 units. And that's what we said, and that's what we've been saying for 6 years. Vitamin E is actually a group of 8 fat-soluble compounds called tocopherols. Alpha, in case you want to know, is the most biologically active. In human arteries, tocopherols have been shown to decrease atherosclerosis, or the plaque buildup in rusty pipes. Foods that are abundant in vitamin E are wheat germ and sunflower seeds, sunflower or safflower oil, almonds, peanuts, olive and soybean oils, spinach, asparagus, and salmon. Interesting, most of this stuff that also has the omega-3 fatty acids. While I just described what the tocopherols do to arteries, especially in foods, A recent study failed to show that vitamin E itself failed to slow the progression of arterial plaque, nor could it actually lower cholesterol or reduce oxidative stress. So while earlier studies, again, the same thing with the B vitamins, in the 1990s showed favorable effects of vitamin D on heart disease and heart attacks, subsequent later reports, as we just talked about, contradict this. Onward and upward. Vitamin C. Vitamin C is a water-soluble vitamin that is essential for your body's system to function properly. It must be consumed by food or supplements because we just don't make it in our bodies. The immune system is especially dependent on vitamin C. Likewise, so does our endocrine system, or how we handle sugar in this case. Diabetics, therefore, should always take some vitamin C because vitamin C and glucose compete for the same place inside your cells. I didn't know it. You know, maybe 30 years ago I knew it in mid school. Vitamin C has also been shown to decrease the risk of heart disease like vitamin D. But in this case, actually looking at lipids, vitamin C has been shown to lower triglycerides, raise good cholesterol, lower blood pressure, prevent free radical damage of your bad cholesterol, as everybody has now been educated. It's abundant in red peppers, broccoli, cauliflower, berries, oranges, grapefruit, citrus fruits, and also the beans. Again, very similar to vitamin A. You get them both together, folks. They're cofactors. So all of this sounds great, right, Bob?
Oh, it sounds fantastic.
Unfortunately, but out of the American Heart Association meeting in 2008 came a surprise. That's why I went right on from vitamin E to vitamin C. The results of the Physicians Health 2 study, which evaluated nearly 15,000 doctors over 8 years and found neither vitamin C or vitamin E had any effect on heart attack, stroke, or death.
It gets to the biologic effect of stuff versus does it do anything to me, make me live longer?
Well, their conclusion was not necessarily the opinion of those expressed here. I have to state that, was that people who eat healthier get healthier and are healthier, therefore save some money, do not buy supplements. And that came out from them.
Right.
Okay. But, you know, you made that statement. What was your evaluation? What would your take be?
Well, first off, let me talk about the vitamin E, and that issue is we always get to am I hurting myself by taking a supplement? And in the vitamin E story, when that study came out saying that maybe there's an increased risk with vitamin E, I think that changed the landscape for vitamin E. So I don't tend to use vitamin E. And yes, in the test tube, the biologic effects, we clearly see that. And again, it gets back to the food effect. Are you getting the total beneficial effect of the food versus the little pill of vitamin E? And so vitamin E is, I think, a little bit different story than vitamin C. Clearly, we need vitamin C. You know, that's the whole scurvy thing. That's why people need it on the long distance. Sure, you need vitamin C from that standpoint. But for reduction of heart disease, I think that's that Physicians Health study, no real benefit. It doesn't hurt, but it doesn't really benefit. And we're talking just about heart disease here. We're not talking about everybody taking high doses of vitamin C for prevention of colds, which has never been shown. We're just talking about heart disease in this one. That's a whole different story.
Well, the funny thing is I always make a comment that, physicians and nurses are probably the most unhealthy people.
Oh,
and yet, if they're going to be studied, and these aren't meta-analyses, these are these are
the high quality studies. Yeah,
so you're doing great randomized trials where you're giving X number, you're giving a drug or a supplement, and following it. X number of people get it, X number of people don't, and in this situation, you have to take this with a reasonable grain of salt and say, all right, where does it play out? I've always been an advocate. We talked about absorption. I think we're going to do it again a little bit. Absorption and bioavailability of a drug or of a supplement in this case. If it has to be absorbed, it has to be available to the tissues and to make an effect. I'm going to have a sarcastic comment probably in the third section about this, but we do have to kind of look at this with some perspective from our end and say, it's always better. People who eat healthy are healthier. Okay.
I think that's the theme of every show that we've talked about.
Yeah, Smarter Heart kind of overlaps itself. Yes, it does. But my perspective, I think, is yours. That we've got to find a balance between all of it together.
All right,
Here's-
next question.
Yeah, here's your pop quiz number 2. We get 80 to 90% of vitamin D3 from sunlight. What percentage do most average humans get from sunlight exposure? 5%, 20%, or 30%?
5%.
5%. We'll be back on Your Smarter Heart University on AM 970.